Good morning, my name is Morgan Marcus.
And my name is Justin Chalk, and our senior group performance is entitled
Paying the Bill,
a turning point for women's suffrage. Oh, hey Lou, any action today or have they just been standing there like that? Don't guess to know you, David Lawrence, Associated Press. Well, would you look there? Alice Paul herself up there manning the picket. Did you boys hear about President Wilson inviting her in last week? Well, yeah, he's been tolerating her and the other National Women's Party's members for now. Honestly, though, I don't see how much longer he can be courteous to them. With us entering the war, this picketing the president is gonna have to come to an end. How do I know? Henry Ford doesn't call me President Wilson's unofficial mouthpiece for nothing. Tell him, Lou, I got the run of the White House offices. Well, I don't see much happening here today, but you boys keep putting them on the front page. I'm gonna head on in and see what I can dig up for you boys to copy next week.
First of all, I would like to thank all of you for attending this meeting. I would also like to thank you for your participation in picketing the White House. I know. No one thinks that this will work, but while I was in England, I saw civil disobedience work to help secure women the right to vote. Our former group will continue to lobby peacefully, and that will be of great importance at a state level, but we will try to bring a new type of attention at a national level by picketing the White House. We can coerce politicians to support a federal amendment. If a creditor stands outside a man's home all day demanding payment, the man must either remove the creditor or pay the bill. I believe that President Wilson will try to remove the creditor, but will later pay the bill. I know. We have been warned that we may face arrest and jail time, but that is a risk that we have to be willing to take. By picketing, we will generate publicity and we will use the press to further our cause.
Get ready, boys. Today is the day that we might finally get that big story. This crowd is about to boil over. I don't see how this won't be a ride. A wartime president inviting over the Russian delegation, and the White House is being picketed by women who refuse to support the war simply because they cannot vote. Did you just see that? That lady grabbed that picketer, tore up her sign, and called her a dirty yellow traitor. I better get some quotes in before this gets crazy. Excuse me, Miss Paul, would you like to comment?
It is those that deny democracy and not those who demand it who embarrass this country in its international relations. The responsibility, therefore, is with the government and not the women of America. If the lack of democracy at home weakens the government in its fight for democracy 3,000 miles away, please, stop, don't push us.
Miss Paul!
Peacefully.
Miss Paul! Well, Alice Paul is accomplishing what she set out to do. The suffragists, including her, are on the front of every newspaper furthering their cause. I even wrote several stories this week about Alice Paul. I knew it wouldn't be long until I received this correspondence from the president. Nothing that the suffragists do should be featured in headlines or put on the front page, but that a bare, colorless chronicle of what they do be featured, that constitutes part of the news, but it need not be made interested reading. I'll tell you what is interesting. My old buddy pal, President Wilson, is trying to suppress and manipulate news coverage. By taking away their meal ticket, he helps they fade into obscurity. Now me, I'm in, unless it turns out to be a really big story that will sell. Then I have to look out for number one.
I do not wish to make a plea before this court because I have nothing to do with the laws that have put me in this position. Your Honor, you can sentence me to 7 months, but you must know that I did not obstruct traffic. I pointed out to President Wilson that he obstructed democracy. In America nor in prison are women free. We have no rights. It's hot in here. Can we open up a window?
No! Sit down and be quiet!
There, that's much better.
That's it! You are going to solitary confinement!
We are political prisoners and we have rights! Rights to an attorney, fresh air, clean food, and visitors! Women, we don't have to take this! We will starve before we caved! Amazing grace. saved a wretch like me.
This is your last chance to eat before you will be forced. That's it.
Let go of me! I'll never get away with this! Never.
Sit.
No.
Open.
Please share these conditions and treatments of all women prisoners. We have been beaten, force-fed, and they are trying to prove I'm crazy.
Well, would you look at these headlines? Americans alarmed at prison conditions. Alice Paul force-fed 3 times daily. This truly will be the turning point. The tide has changed. Alice Paul has provoked public sympathy. President Wilson has allowed this to go too far. Congressmen are contacting him left and right, concerned about the starving suffragists. They are urging him to act immediately on a suffrage amendment. I better head on over to the White House now to see the president and share with him my latest article, Jailed for Freedom. Miss Paul, please wake up. I need to talk to you.
Who are you? I'm not usually allowed visitors.
I'm David Lawrence, reporter for the Associated Press. It is late, actually well after visiting hours. I'm here to talk about your situation. Will you agree to abandon picketing in an exchange for a guarantee from the administration that a suffrage amendment will pass through Congress by 1919?
You're President Wilson's unofficial mouthpiece.
You and all the rest of these ladies can be out of this terrible place within the week if we can work out a few key details. I've got to get going.
I knew President Wilson wouldn't leave us here to starve. His political image is just far too important. Yes, I'm glad to be leaving prison. The attempt to suppress legitimate propaganda has failed, and we hope that no more demonstrations will be necessary. But that depends entirely upon what administration does. After Alice Paul's release, picketing died down, and soon President Wilson announced his support of a federal amendment. The amendment passed Senate and House by 1919, just like David Lawrence predicted.
The suffrage amendment created a strong influence and cultural impact. It gave women a sense that they could accomplish more, and a thirst for more freedoms in a world where they were previously considered second class. The actions of these brave activists became a turning point for future women to understand the power of their citizenship.
Women started to live outside the confines of being a wife and a homemaker. They got jobs outside the home, became active in sports, and became very active in politics. Women started to enjoy more freedoms that has continued on till today. After passage of the amendment, President Wilson invited women suffragists that did not participate in civil disobedience to the White House to celebrate. Clearly, Alice Paul was not invited. However, Alice Paul stood before the White House with a smile on her face because she knew that in negotiation, the person who gave up the most must be allowed to save face. Alice Paul stood before President Wilson and he paid the bill. Thank you.